Eric once said, "Love can happen with anyone, but marriage? Only with women under 26. So, on my 26th birthday, Eric tricked me into traveling far away, just so he could propose to the new intern. He ordered the bodyguards to block the entrance and warned them, "Don't let Victoria come up." But I never showed up. Not even after the proposal ended. And that's when he panicked. The livestream comments flew in. What is the FL doing? Doesn't she know Eric's waiting for her to crash the proposal? He's shattered. Completely. Sensitive souls need a love that never cools down. She's changed. If it were me, I'd hug his thorns and love him even if he hurt me. I smiled. No tears. No drama. I turned and boarded my flight abroad. I guess, maybe it really was my fault. I admit, I did change. Chapter 1. Eric was in a bad mood. I could feel it the moment we woke up. When the alarm rang, I was still half asleep, but muscle memory made me reach over and turn it off. Then I rolled over, trying to hold him. He dodged me. I woke up instantly, eyes flying open. All I saw was his back as he silently put on his clothes. His energy was ice cold. Without saying a word, he walked out of the bedroom. I sat on the bed, stunned, a sinking feeling in my chest. I instinctively glanced at the livestream comments. The comments were exploding. Still spacing out? Eric is about to explode. Wouldn't you be mad if your partner slept with their back to you all night for no reason? He didn't sleep a wink, stared at her back all night. Nearly cried. Poor Eric. Only the FL can sleep like a log while he suffers. So, he was angry because I turned my back to him last night? But I was exhausted. There was a crisis at the expo yesterday. The new intern messed up the drink order. She got the date wrong. It was supposed to arrive yesterday. But when I called the vendor, they said, "Your order says the 17th. That's 2 days later. I looked at the intern. She had tears in her eyes and burst out crying. I don't know how this happened. I'm so stupid, I can't even do this right. It's all my fault. But I didn't mean to. Stop looking at me like that. I'm tired and under a lot of pressure too. I'm scared I won't get hired. Wah. Everyone's bullying me." I hadn't even said anything yet, and she was already crying and running off. Minutes later, Eric called. The issue already happened. Just fix it. Why make things hard for an intern? The way he defended her pierced me like a needle. The livestream comments laughed their heads off. There he goes again, begging for attention. My wife hasn't messaged me in 112 minutes. I'm mad. That intern's a fake soft girl. Eric's only using her to trigger the FL. She thinks she's special? LOL. Classic. He talks tough but he's soft as tofu inside. Someone stop him from ripping that money tree. It's going bald. Look at that pitiful face. He just wants wifey to come soothe him. But, how am I supposed to soothe him? That helplessness in my chest left me speechless. Pablo rushed over. "Victoria, we got a backup. Our old supplier said they'll help, but we need to unload the goods ourselves." Finally, I exhaled in relief. I told the person waiting silently on the other end of the call, "Got it. I'm busy right now." Hanging up. That wasn't the response Eric wanted. I should've, like the comments said, dropped everything and run to him. Told him he mattered more than anything. But I couldn't. Or maybe I just couldn't anymore. Chapter 2. The entire day, setting up, hosting, cleaning up, left everyone drained. By the time I walked out of the venue, Eric was waiting by the roadside, smoking. The cigarette smoke curled around his face as he watched me with detached eyes, like I was just a stranger on the street. I froze. For a moment, I was even afraid to approach him. Would he talk to me? Would he shut the car door in my face before I even got close? Or sneer, "Who are you? Do I know you?" I'd seen it too many times. I'd have to cling to him, act cutesy, to soften his anger. But I was so tired. I couldn't even muster a smile. Just then, the intern Lily skipped over. "Boss, you actually came to pick me up? I was just joking before. Hee hee. You're so sweet. Let's go. I'll take you for some Yunnan noodles." I watched Eric curve his lips into a faint smile. He opened the door and shielded her into the car, then got in on the driver's side. Before shutting the door, he paused. He was waiting for me to stop him, waiting for me to kick Lily out. waiting for me to grab his collar and say, "You're mine." But I didn't move. My legs felt like they were made of lead. Finally, the door slammed shut. Eric drove away without looking back. Chapter 3. He didn't take Lily home. He didn't go have rice noodles with her either. He dropped her off by the roadside, said something came up, and drove away. He didn't go home either. His car sat in a parking spot, and he stayed inside like a child who had just been abandoned. The live stream comments told me all of this. The FL is too much. How long is she going to torture the ML? Just one phone call from her and Eric would drop all his pride and come back. But she still won't do it. Does she really think Eric likes the intern? His love has already gone beyond reason. How can she not feel it? I know, right? I really can't feel it. I often can't. But I'm just so tired. I only want to sleep. I don't want to wake up in the middle of the night, startled by his cold, penetrating stare. Finally, I called him. Eric, when are you coming home? Chapter 4. Eric didn't wait for me. By the time I finished getting ready and came downstairs, his car was already gone. I ordered a ride and waited a long time. It was rush hour. In the end, I was still late. I had just sat down when my extension rang. "Come in, I need to talk to you." I opened the office door. Lily was there too. She was holding a meat bun up to Eric's mouth. "This one's so good. Really, boss. Just try a bite." Eric was leaning away in obvious disgust. But when he saw me walk in, he stopped. Then, putting on a performance, he took a small, polite bite from her hand. I lowered my gaze and pretended I didn't see anything. "You needed to see me?" The comments were still flying. "She's not going to stop this? Has she forgotten? Eric never eats stuffed dough. He's this close to losing it." Those clenched fists, red-rimmed eyes. If the intern weren't there, he might have cried. My heart aches. I just want to possess the FL and run to hug Eric so hard. Finally, Eric spoke. "For the upcoming architecture exhibition, remove someone from the team and add Lily." What? I looked up, stunned. He stared at me coldly, his eyes saying clearly, I wasn't mistaken. I took a deep breath. "Why?" Lily piped up timidly. "Victoria, yeah. Please don't blame the boss. It's me. I really need this opportunity." "Shut up. I wasn't talking to you." I snapped, my voice loud, sharp. Lily flinched, clearly terrified, and instinctively ducked behind Eric. He stood up with a dark expression and shielded her. "Victoria, I'm informing you, not negotiating." Pablo, his abilities are average anyway. Chat explodes. LOL, Eric is so jealous. All this because his wife ended the call yesterday while talking to Pablo? I can't. This is too funny. I'm melting. This kind of sweet petty love, when will I have it? Sweet? I licked my lips. It tasted bitter. Pablo is great, hardworking, responsible, always takes the lead. His wife's pregnant, had to quit her job due to health issues. He told me if he gets a bonus this time, he'll decorate the baby's room. Maybe not luxurious, but definitely healthy and full of love. I looked at Eric, then at the smug, spoiled Lily hiding behind him. Finally, I gave up. Take me off the project. Add her, but don't touch any other teammates. Eric, I mean it, not a single one. I turned around and walked out of the company. The comments said Eric went berserk. He smashed his office, kicked Lily out, and even hurt himself. The FL is heartless. Doesn't she know why Eric is so insecure? She was the one who let him out of the darkness. Why won't she hold on now? If you can't love him 100%, why mess with him at all? Chapter 5. I was 8 years old when I moved into Eric's home. My mom had remarried his uncle. They traveled the world all the time, so they left me at the family estate. Officially, I was a young lady. In reality, I was no different from a maid. I followed the housekeeper and nannies, tried to be helpful and sweet. Whenever I helped with chores, they'd treat me well. I first saw Eric during a family banquet. He came with his mom, like a little prince, polite, graceful, distant. But just because he didn't eat a piece of meat his mother gave him, she dragged him into a corner and bit down hard on his arm. "You think I disgust you too?" You're just like your ungrateful father. All of you look down on me. He didn't cry. He didn't even move. He was like a lifeless doll. So pitiful. I gave him the only piece of chocolate I had. The housekeeper told me it was handmade from abroad, super expensive. I'd been saving it to give to my mom when she returned. But at that moment, I thought it was okay to give it to Eric. After that, every time he came to the estate, I gave him my hidden stash of snacks. He ate in silence. I chattered nonstop. And then? He asked suddenly. That was the first time he spoke to me. I stared at him wide-eyed. Then the bird flew away, and the kitten pounced and missed. I laughed so hard, and the kitten glared at me. You know what? It glared at me. Dummy. Yeah, the cat's dumb. I meant you. Time passed slowly. I kept hoping my mom would come back. When she didn't, I hoped Eric would. I saved up so many snacks. I had a whole belly full of stories. Later, Eric came again, but this time, he brought bad news. My mom and his uncle had died in a car crash. I was 11. His family wouldn't keep me. I had no other relatives. They decided to send me to an orphanage. I stared at them all, dazed. I didn't understand how I could lose everything overnight. Only Eric stepped forward and held my hand. I want her. Chapter 6. After leaving the company, I went to a nearby cafe. Sat there for a long time. To be honest, whether or not I was in charge of the exhibition didn't matter to me. It wasn't a job I liked anyway. When I graduated, Eric suggested I work at his company. At first, I refused, so he gave me the silent treatment. He couldn't understand why I didn't accept. Neither could the live stream comments. Eric just can't live without his wife. What's so wrong with that? The FL is too greedy. Why not enjoy life as a pampered little wife? She doesn't even need to work to live comfortably. What's she being dramatic about? But I wasn't being dramatic. Eric was like a cloud, beautiful but untouchable. He changed constantly. I could never grasp him. I always seemed to upset him. And when he was upset, he'd delete my fingerprint access, change the locks, lock me out of the house. And I was so broke. I didn't even have money for a place to stay. I wanted a job, at least when Eric threw me away. I wouldn't starve or end up sleeping on the streets, but I couldn't find one. For 3 months, I sent out countless resumes. Not a single company called me back. My bank account balance was hanging by a thread. Finally, I went to Eric. Can I work at your company? He looked down at me from above, lips curling faintly. I pushed my luck. I asked to join the software development department. Eric refused without discussion and sent me to marketing. So I worked in a department I wasn't good at, doing a job I wasn't suited for. Maybe that's just how work is. You do your tasks, get your paycheck. Don't think too much. Don't expect too much. But I couldn't help it. I didn't want just this. It took me a whole year, from hesitation to decision. But now, I'm sure, I'm going back to school. I already got my offer. I have to go. I've always known I would have to leave someday. And after all these years, I'm certain of one thing. Eric was never my destination. Chapter 7. Eric called that afternoon. His voice was calm, emotionless. It's your birthday today. I booked a flight for you. Didn't you always want to see the ocean? You go first. I'll come find you after I finish my work. I thought, maybe this was the right moment. I'd wait until after my birthday, then tell Eric everything. He wouldn't want me to leave, but he wouldn't stop me either. All I had to do was not look back. So, I boarded a flight, traveled far away. I waited for Eric for 4 hours, called him 3 times. He didn't pick up once. On the 5th try, his assistant answered. Victoria? Eric? Is he there? He's preparing a proposal scene. He's going to propose to Lily. The moment I heard that, my ears rang. I sat in silence for a long time, hung up, then sat by the sea. The chat was laughing. She didn't see that coming. Seriously, it always takes losing something to realize its value? Relax. This is just Eric's test. If the FL rushes back now and crashes the proposal, it'll become her proposal. My phone buzzed. It was a message from one of Eric's friends. 2 videos. In the first one, Eric was smoking by a balcony. Only his side profile showed. You're really going to propose to the intern? What about Victoria? He smiled faintly. You don't get it. You can date anyone, but I only marry women under 26. Today is Victoria's 26th birthday. 2 seconds of silence. Then everyone burst into laughter. The second video showed his back. A group of bodyguards stood in front of him. Look carefully at her photo. Don't let her up here. After the videos came a message. Victoria, now you've seen it. My advice? Don't come back, unless you want to make a fool of yourself. I didn't need to read the comments. I knew Eric had arranged all of it. It was his usual tactic. Slap me with one hand, then offer a candy with the other. Force me to the edge, then wait for me to climb back out. Just to prove I loved him. And I had proved it. Many times, but it was never enough. I remembered what our teacher told us before the college entrance exam. Learn to let go of unsolvable problems. Spend your energy on questions you can answer. Success isn't about getting everything right, it's about scoring the most within the rules. I used to understand that. Then I forgot. But now, I think, it's not too late to remember. Chapter 8. It took me 2.5 hours to get back to Beijing from thousands of miles away. Another 45 minutes to get from the airport to the place Eric and I shared. I packed the essentials, gathered my documents, didn't even fill up one suitcase. Before leaving, I deleted my fingerprint from the door lock. A childish act of revenge. I stood at the door, laughing at myself for a while. And finally, I turned and left. Another hour and a half later, I arrived at the airport. The live stream comments exploded again. What is she doing? Doesn't she know Eric's waiting for her to crash the proposal? If she doesn't show up in the next 30 minutes, it won't be fake anymore. He'll really go through with it. Fake? The man's already shattered. Sensitive people just need a love that never cools down. She's changed. If it were me, even if Eric turned into a thorn bush, I'd still hug his thorns and love him. I lowered my eyes, then raised them again with a calm expression. These comments, just like Eric, had clipped my wings and chained my feet. They told me Eric loved me. At 13, he cut off my long hair. The comments said, don't resist. He only did it because another boy pulled your hair. You're his, your hair is his, no one else is allowed to touch it. At 14, he left me alone on the side of the road. The comments said, it's your fault. You shouldn't have helped that boy with his homework. Eric was jealous. But look, he didn't actually leave. He just circled behind to follow you. At 15, the birthday cake I made with my own hands was tossed into the trash. The comments sighed, he was trying to carry your school bag. How could you reject him? Don't you know you rejected his heart? At 16, I was told it was time to confess. He'd reject me 1,000 times. But I had to be persistent until he was satisfied. At 17, Eric said yes. The comments said, see? He finally softened. At 18, he changed my college application without telling me. The comments said, it's a test. Which matters more, Eric or your future? That was the first time I broke down. I cried and told Eric, you matter the most. You're the most important person in my life. Without you, I don't know what would happen to me. You gave me a place to stay, food, tuition. I'll say yes to anything you want. But Eric, I really want to go to that university. He asked, do you love me? Or are you just repaying a debt? I clawed at myself and forced a smile. I love you. Chapter 9. I didn't expect to run into Luis at the airport. He was a few years older than Eric. In their circle, he was like the elder brother. When Eric and the others were still brawling in alleys, Luis had already taken his company public. He'd made major achievements in gaming and software engineering. Back in college, I'd thought, one day, I'll become someone like him. I'll catch up. I'll surpass him. But he hated me. For someone like him, always composed, barely expressive, liking or disliking someone usually didn't show. But he had directly said that he didn't like people like me. Eric once asked me, when did you piss him off? I shook my head. I don't know. Then he warned me, next time you see him, avoid him. Even I can't protect you. Remembering that, I turned to walk away, but his assistant stepped in. Miss, Mr. Luis invites you to join him. Would you honor his request? I tugged at the corner of my lips. Luis wasn't someone I dared to refuse. And honestly, I was curious, why was he inviting me? So I went over. He wore rimless glasses, eyes fixed on his laptop, didn't even lift his head, just asked coolly, "What do you want to drink?" "I'm fine. 2 espressos." "Got it, boss." The corner of my mouth twitched. No one spoke up for me. Finally, he looked up, took off his glasses and rubbed his brow. "I needed something to stay awake. Figured you wouldn't be sleeping either." "Oh, was that an explanation?" "Thank you." He looked at me with deep, calm eyes, an air unique to those in power. But the words that followed had a gossipy undertone. "Are you running away?" I looked at him, surprised. He raised an eyebrow. "At this timing, seeing you here, that's the only guess I can make." I was even more surprised. "You know?" He tapped on his phone, opened a live stream, and slid it toward me. "The whole city knows." On screen, Eric was holding a bouquet of roses, walking slowly toward a girl at center stage. He was proposing, a live-streamed proposal. Luis closed the phone. "You're not going?" "No." He nodded slightly. "At least you're not stupid." Just then, Luis's assistant brought over the coffee. He pushed a cup toward me. "Drink it. If you're going to leave, at least leave clear-headed." For some reason, his words felt loaded. I couldn't help myself. I finally asked, "Mr. Luis, why do you dislike me?" Luis didn't answer right away. He took a sip of coffee. His Adam's apple moved as he swallowed. After a moment, he spoke. "I have a question too. Do you remember me?" I froze. I didn't recall ever crossing paths with Luis. He only returned to China in recent years, and I'd never been to the country he lived in. He seemed to notice my confusion. Luis smiled and suddenly leaned closer. "You want to know why I dislike you?" "I despise people who squander their talent." Then he said a name. I stiffened instantly. It was from an algorithm competition I'd entered when I was 19. I won second place. But before I could step onto the podium, I rushed back to China. Something had happened to Eric, after a fight with his mother. And because I wasn't around, he had a stress reaction and slit his wrists. He spent 6 months in the hospital, and I stayed with him the whole time. During that period, I received an invitation from a game studio. They wanted me to join a project building a new engine they said their company was. I didn't listen to the rest. I hung up the phone, because Eric was acting up again. Suddenly, I looked up. That voice, it was Luis. "Looks like you remember now." He stood up. I always regretted not getting that little genius to join us, but I figured she'd find an even bigger stage. Instead, she ended up doing sales? Marketing? "Victoria, do you regret it?" Luis was gone. The cups had been cleared from the table, as if nothing had happened. But I knew that wasn't true. I lowered my head into my hands. Do I regret it? I don't know. At 19, Eric was everything. At 26, I just want to find out who Victoria really is. That year, I fired a shot at my dreams. Years later, the bullet landed right between my own eyes. Chapter 10. Victoria hung up the phone. Eric stood frozen for a long time, until a friend walked up and nudged him. He handed over his phone. Dazed. "Check. Is my phone broken?" "What?" "No. It's fine." "No way. If it's not broken, why did Victoria hang up on me?" His friend paused, scratching his head awkwardly. "Victoria hung up? What nonsense are you talking?" Eric shouted, clutching the phone and storming off. "Victoria never hangs up on me." He rushed downstairs, grabbed one of the bodyguards. "Did you hurt Victoria?" "I told you, just put on a show. Don't touch her." The bodyguards looked at each other in confusion, but Miss Victoria never showed up. "What? Maybe you didn't recognize her? Or she used another entrance. Show me the surveillance footage. Check it." Everyone scrambled. Suddenly, a thought lit up in Eric's mind. Today's Victoria's birthday. She must be waiting for me by the sea. She loves the ocean. She's definitely waiting for me to come find her. What time is it? His assistant glanced at his watch. It's 1:12 a.m. The light in Eric's eyes dimmed a little, but he quickly comforted himself. It's okay, I brought her a gift. I'll make it up to her. Just over an hour late, she won't be mad. He turned to leave. Lily, who had been left behind on the top floor, finally ran over. She grabbed Eric. Boss, where are you going? We haven't finished our ceremony yet. Why stop now? Didn't you say you were going to marry me? That you liked me? And now you're going to... Victoria? Then what am I? Get out of my way, Eric roared, trying to shake her off. But Lily held on tightly, her face red, on the verge of tears. You were about to propose to me. What is she to you? What are you to me? Eric grabbed Lily by the neck, eyes wild, like he wanted to tear her apart. You knew I had a girlfriend. You still flirted, seduced. I used you, and you thought it was real? He flung Lily aside. Don't let me see you again. By the time Eric got to the beach, 3 hours had passed. He had just gotten off the plane when his assistant called. They had tracked Victoria's flight. She had returned to Beijing. In that moment, Eric's suspended heart finally landed. He slowed his pace, no longer in a rush. He laughed at himself. He was being ridiculous. How could he think Victoria would just disappear? She was Victoria, Eric's Victoria. She would never leave him. She just didn't handle things well this time. Of course, he had been a bit too much as well. He thought, as long as Victoria apologized, he would forgive her. He wouldn't raise the bar again. Eric strolled slowly toward the ocean. The night sea was dark as ink, full of mystery. Suddenly, he found himself wondering, how long had Victoria waited here? What had she done? In the distance, colored fairy lights glowed around a small shop still open, selling coffee, desserts, and trinkets. The shop owner looked drowsy, propped up on the counter. Eric knocked on the table. What would you like? Can I see your surveillance footage? Did you lose something? My girlfriend's missing. The kind shopkeeper quickly pulled up the camera feed. Soon, Eric saw Victoria. She wore simple long pants, a t-shirt. Her hair was tied loosely, her figure delicate. She stood by the sea for a while, then found a place to sit. Sometimes she looked out at the water, sometimes at her phone. But mostly, she just stared into space. Time ticked by. Every 40 minutes, she would make a call. Eric's hand, hanging at his side, twitched. All those calls were to him. He had been smoking, watching his phone ring, and didn't answer once. That feeling was exhilarating. He liked seeing Victoria anxious, helpless, even crying because of him. Her pain was proof of her love. But now, watching her calmness on the footage, Eric felt a fracture inside himself. No breakdown, no desperation, just like she was completing a task. He fast-forwarded those videos his friends sent Victoria. He had arranged them all. He wanted her to panic, to regret, and nothing. Still water, stillness, calm. In an instant, it felt like a giant hand clutched Eric's throat. He didn't even know what he was panicking about, just that it was tight, suffocating, like a thunderstorm was looming, black clouds pressing down, air about to collapse. At that moment, he had only one thought. He had to see Victoria, but Victoria was gone. Her flight data confirmed she returned to Beijing, but she wasn't home, wasn't at the company. Then, where could she be? Eric sat in the living room from midnight until dawn. His assistant, drenched in sweat, shook his head. Boss, I'll keep searching. Eric's face darkened as he hurled the glass in his hand. Don't bother. Let her go. If she dares run away from home, she'd better be ready. This time, Victoria had truly made him angry. He wanted to see, in all of Beijing, where else could she go besides being by his side? Chapter 11. This is my 13th day abroad. I left in a rush. Looked like I was determined to abandon everything and start anew. But deep down, I knew all that decisiveness was just a trick to push myself through the fear. I was afraid. Leaving a place, going somewhere unfamiliar, was painful for me. As a child, my life was unstable. No matter where I went, I always felt like a guest. So I'd create a little corner for myself. all my belongings piled there. That was my safety. After Eric took me in, I did the same. He hated it. Why can't you hang your clothes properly? This nice room, why make it look like a dog's den? He tried to change me, and I obeyed on the surface, at least. But in truth, all these years, what really belonged to me was just one suitcase. One suitcase I could always carry. This was the mental rehearsal I'd repeated for years, and also the thing I feared most. This time, I didn't give myself time to think. I forced myself into action, and it wasn't that bad. Finding a place, getting used to the area, buying what I needed. Once you begin, nothing feels quite as impossible. And on the 8th day, something odd happened. I couldn't see the live stream comments anymore. That day was my birthday. Instead of crashing a wedding, I chose to leave the country, and the comments turned vicious. They cursed me, asked over and over, why can't you treat Eric better? He was so pitiful, so broken. He finally gave you his heart. Why couldn't you catch it? Why did you hurt him? Why make him sad? The voices grew louder, denser. They urged me to go back, to find Eric, to apologize, to save him, to love him. They surged like a tide, overwhelming me completely. I buried myself under the blanket, shut my eyes, covered my ears. I forced myself to ignore them, to blur everything before me. I was busy. There was so much to do. Finding housing wasn't easy. People everywhere took advantage of outsiders. They preyed on your lack of experience, your unfamiliarity. They inflated prices, sold inferior goods as premium. I went to countless places, compared endlessly, and finally made a decision. Those days, I was so exhausted I'd fall asleep the moment I lay down. Right before sleep, I kept feeling like something was missing. It wasn't until the next morning, when I sat up in bed, that I realized the comments were gone. Just a few scattered ones, shouting, Eric hasn't been able to sleep through the night. What does the FL want? Is she trying to push him to death? She'll regret this. She'll pay the price. I turned my head, got up, and washed my face. This rental apartment wasn't a home, but when the landlord placed the keys in my palm, my eyes suddenly welled up. I wanted to buy a blanket for the couch, and a throw pillow. That way I could curl up and read. The desk needed a lamp, maybe even a small vase. I wanted a big bowl, big enough to hold all the food at once, because that's how I wanted to eat. Maybe a rug by the bed too, so when I stepped on it barefoot, it would feel soft and warm. I walked so many places, took so many steps. Everything I brought back to that rental place was carefully picked by me, day by day. The places I'd walked were carved into my memory. The streets, the shops, the people. This place started to feel familiar, until the 8th day. I sat down to drink a quiet cup of coffee. A skater zoomed past. A street musician began to sing. The breeze brushed my cheeks. I stood up, ready to leave, and suddenly realized the comments were gone. Panicked, I looked around again and again, and finally, I knew for certain they were really gone. Was it just today? Or had they disappeared even earlier? I didn't know, but in that moment, I lost control, squatted down, wrapped my arms around myself, and sobbed uncontrollably. 8 days, just 8 days. The comments that had haunted me for decades vanished. So in the end, what trapped me all these years? Was it the comments? Was it Eric? Or was it me? Chapter 12. Eric didn't truly realize Victoria was gone until a month and a half later. At first, he was sure she would show up again soon. Victoria had always been easy to read, kind, innocent, insecure, a classic people pleaser. A child like that was simple to control. All you had to do was be slightly nice to her. She'd cling to you forever, make her feel you needed her. She'd give you everything. But this child had sharp teeth too. She was too smart, picked up everything fast, top of the class. The more she knew, the more likely she'd bite back. So Eric always alternated, one sweet, one slap. He couldn't treat her too well, she'd get spoiled. Couldn't treat her too poorly either. If it hurt too much, she'd run. Over the years, Eric thought he managed it perfectly. Victoria would come back. She needed him, and she knew he needed her too. Just like a baby elephant chained up from birth. Even when the chain's removed, it never runs. But the days passed. No word from Victoria. Eric grew more silent, smoked more, snapped more easily. One day, as he passed the marketing department, he heard someone say, "This client used to be handled by Victoria Jia, but her number's not working. What should we do?" Eric's face instantly darkened. He kicked over the potted plant by the door. "If you can't do it, then quit." "What? The company can't run without Victoria?" From then on, Victoria's name became forbidden in the office. Eric started losing sleep. At first, he just couldn't fall asleep. Later, he'd jolt awake midnight. He heard her voice. She opened the door, said, "I'm back." Eric ran down, scolding coldly, "So you do remember how to come home?" But no Victoria. Nothing. He didn't believe it. He pulled the home security footage, asked the building management for surveillance. "Sir, she really didn't come back. Maybe you imagined it?" Eric returned home, face stormy. After that, he couldn't sleep at all. In his office, pressing at his pounding temples, he exhaled shakily. "Victoria. I feel awful." The moment the words left his mouth, he froze. A sharp, suffocating pain clutched his chest. He couldn't breathe. "Boss, are you okay?" He grabbed his assistant. "Find her." "Find who?" "Victoria." Chapter 13. It was a 1.5-year taught degree abroad. During that time, I pushed my former glory as a runner-up in an algorithm competition to the limit. They say a true hero doesn't brag about past triumphs, but a triumph is still a triumph. If it's useful, why not use it? Algorithmic thinking is like muscle memory. I picked it up 10 times faster than any beginner. Soon, I joined a lab. In my second semester, I applied to be a teaching assistant, partly to ease financial pressure, partly to pad my resume. Naturally, my schedule got tighter and tighter. I was even pulling all-nighters to run experiments. Later, I went with my professor to observe a competition, and unexpectedly ran into Luis midway. "Mr. Luis, long time no see." I could feel that his attitude toward me had improved noticeably. He asked about my recent life. Given our connection, I should have just kept it formal, but for some reason, I felt nervous, like a student answering to a strict senior. Before I knew it, I spilled everything, my current studies, my plans for the next stage. He didn't seem impatient. He listened carefully, then nodded. "Next semester you can start preparing for interviews. Got any companies in mind?" Maybe I was pushing my luck, but I asked, "Do you have any recommendations, Mr. Luis?" "At Abyssal Tech? Your company? You've heard of it?" I nodded furiously. How could I not know? But I'd thought that, after everything that had happened, he wouldn't want me anywhere near his company. Maybe my reaction amused him. Luis smiled slightly and handed me his card. "Then please consider us first. Miss Victoria, we have a branch office here. If you're interested." "I'm returning home." I knew what he was implying, but I said, "I'll live and work normally, not hide forever." Luis nodded. "Then I'll raise the stakes. I promise, until you return home, no one will disturb you." Warmth filled my chest. "Thank you, Mr. Luis. I'll make sure your chips double in value." Chapter 14. I graduated successfully. Nestor came to pick me up when I flew home. He's AT's chief architect. We'd interacted online over work before, but this was our first meeting. He yawned, clearly half asleep. I couldn't help but offer, "Want me to drive?" I hadn't touched his steering wheel since getting my license. But better that than having him drive fatigued. He was stubborn though, insisted on doing it himself. "The boss asked me to take you to the office first. It's urgent." "Okay, let's go." He widened his eyes. "You just got off a plane. You haven't even signed a contract and you're already being dragged into work. Don't you want to curse the capitalist overlords? Or are you just holding back because I'm here? Go ahead, curse away. I'll cover my ears." Just from that, I could hear how deep his trauma ran. I asked, How many all-nighters? That question nearly made him cry. All-nighters? Try asking how many days I haven't gone home. My wife's out there telling people I'm her free-range husband. I just sympathized back then, until I ended up in the same pit. That's when I understood. A 7-figure salary was exactly what I deserved. Chapter 15. I ran into Eric 4 months after returning home. This city's huge, running into someone isn't easy. That day, I was just exhausted. Went downstairs to grab a coffee. Then suddenly, someone grabbed my wrist. Victoria? His voice was hoarse, distorted. I turned, saw Eric, thin, worn out, and visibly exhausted. But my gaze remained calm, my heart too. I even smiled and nodded politely. Long time no see, then pulled my hand back. Goodbye. I didn't think much of the encounter, until I was about to leave work, and Luis knocked on my desk. Eric's downstairs. I looked up in shock. I'll go talk to him, but Luis stopped me. I'm telling you so you can leave through the staff elevator, if you don't want to see him. I thought for a second. It's fine, I'll see him eventually. Just, not at night, and not alone. Victoria. He's been searching for you like crazy for over a year. I froze. I remembered when I first left the country. I was terrified Eric might suddenly show up. I woke in the middle of the night. Always felt someone was behind me. Only after Luis gave me that promise did I finally feel safe. Over time, I thought, maybe I was being dramatic. Maybe I thought too highly of myself. We were just an ex-couple from a failed relationship. Now we've moved on. Seeing each other again? Just a nodding acquaintance. Until now. At the beginning, Luis nodded. I hid your flight details. Otherwise, he would have found you. This past year and a half, he's done a lot of crazy things. He made a college girl named Lily drop out. Had his mother sent to a psych ward. Got kicked out by the board for violent outbursts. He lives in excess now, parties, alcohol, but the one thing he hasn't given up is looking for you. He followed you all the way to the company, asked the receptionist your name, confirmed it multiple times. The only reason he didn't act when he saw you was probably because his brain couldn't catch up. I've heard, he sees things that aren't there. I was stunned for a long time. Luis didn't leave, pulled up a chair to sit opposite me. I slowly clenched the hand resting on the desk. Then looked up at him. Boss. I'm scared. What should I do? Luis suddenly smiled. Scared? Not heartbroken? If that's true, I'm very proud of you. He was joking. I laughed too. No way. Maybe once, but I've grown up. Can I apply for a restraining order? He stood up. Come on. I'll drive you home. Chapter 16. Eric waited for me for 3 days. That was the limit of his patience. On the afternoon of the 3rd day, he began forcing his way in. Luis told me to ignore everything and just focus on creating value. He, on the other hand, chose to call the police. Eric was taken away because he hit one of the security guards. He was detained for 7 days. 7 days later, he didn't show up again, but I wasn't naive enough to think he'd learned his lesson, and I couldn't live forever watching over my shoulder. In the end, I chose to face him directly. I called. The moment I said hello, he laughed. Luis. So it was Luis. He took you. Hid you? No wonder. No wonder I couldn't find you no matter what. Victoria. How dare you? You're mine. You can only be mine. Once upon a time, Eric was the one who controlled my fate. I was a puppet in his hands. He decided everything for me. I loved him. And I feared him. Later, I wondered, maybe I didn't really love him. Maybe it was just an emotion born from fear. And then I thought, even if I did love him back then, it's not the end of the world to admit it. But now, hearing him speak like this, I let out a little tisk. So dramatic. Let's meet tomorrow at noon. Come to the company. Someone will bring you to see me. I hung up before he could keep rambling. My turf. A den full of bitter, overworked techies. If you want to call me a coward, I'll take it, but I refuse to believe he can still do anything to me here. The next day at noon, I was eating a boxed lunch when Eric arrived. He stared at me with a vicious glare. I was unfazed. Sit inside. 5 more minutes. I kept eating. eyes still fixed on a running script. When I finished the last bite, the program completed. Then I got up and entered the meeting room. As soon as the door closed, Eric lunged toward me. "Don't try it." I raised my hand. In it, something small from our dev team. "Homemade gadget. Won't kill you, but will knock you out cold." Eric froze. I could see his chest heaving, his jaw clenched, fists tight. His eyes looked at me like I'd killed his family. He probably had 1,000 things to say, but I didn't have much to say. So I spoke first. "Let's cut to it. Name your price. What do I have to do for you to stop harassing me?" "Impossible," Eric growled. "You owe me, Victoria. You don't just get to walk away." I pursed my lips, scoffed. "My mom died in a car crash. Back then, one human life cost around 500,000 to 800,000 yuan. You got the money. That should more than cover all the years of food, clothes, and housing your family gave me." Eric froze. He hadn't expected me to say that. "You're talking about money now? Is that all you think you owe me, Victoria? If it weren't for me, do you know what would have happened to you?" That was true. Back then, suggesting they send me to an orphanage was already considered kind. Some of Eric's relatives had started eyeing me openly. Her mom was a real looker, and this one's already turning out good. Give her a few more years, what a waste to send her off. Might as well keep her. Those words haunted me. So when Eric showed up back then, he became my savior. "But I gave you 14 years of my life. I was your emotional dumpster, your punching bag, your bedmate. That's enough to repay any life-saving grace. Victoria, do you even hear yourself? Is that what all those years mean to you? Just a garbage bin, a scapegoat, and a sex toy?" That one hit hard. When I talk about love, you talk about debt. When I talk about debt, you bring up love. That's called being manipulative. "Eric, look it up." He suddenly stopped, lowered his head, let out a trembling laugh. When he looked back up, his eyes were red. "Victoria, say my name again." He's lost it. Chapter 17. My face turned cold as I looked at Eric. His eyes were filled with pain and madness. This conversation was going nowhere. I turned to leave. Panic flashed across his face. He tried to move toward me again, but I raised the device, and he froze once more. Finally, he took a deep breath. "Victoria, I was wrong. I was a mess before. I've changed. Just come back. Let's start over. Victoria, even if it's just out of pity." He trembled as he rolled up his sleeve, revealing cut after cut on his wrist. "I'll die. Without you, I'll die." I stared at those cuts for a long time. When Eric saw that, he thought I was moved. His eyes lit up with hope, but I said coldly, "Too shallow." "What?" "Too shallow to scar. Wrong technique." All emotion drained from Eric's face. I stayed cold, then slowly rolled up my own sleeve. This is the kind of depth that leaves a scar. In that moment, Eric stopped breathing. He trembled, tried to reach out, but recoiled like he'd been electrocuted. "Why?" Those 3 words were the most honest thing he'd said today, and I just found it funny. Funny how humans can lie to themselves for so long. They end up believing it. "You really don't know why? You don't remember when I cut myself? You don't know which scar came from what? You know, and the fact that I'd rather slit my wrist than leave you. That's how you proved I loved you, right?" Chapter 18. Maybe Eric and I were never truly normal. There was a time when I believed that the agony between us, the life or death intensity, was what love meant. That you had to hurt to know love. The deeper the pain, the deeper the love. But after seeing more of the world, meeting more people, I realized maybe that's not true. My therapist once told me, reconciling after a violent fight releases 300% more dopamine than a peaceful interaction. This chemical high tricks the brain into thinking pain equals love. But pain only breeds submission. Only real love grows into something that makes you stronger, bolder, more alive. If a relationship needs blood to stay alive, it's not love, it's a counterfeit. Eric, there's only one reason I left you. I wanted to survive. If we stayed together, I'd either end up killing myself or killing you. "No!" Eric shouted. "No, Victoria. That's not true. You're just mad. Come back. We can start over. I'll take you to the ocean. Eric! I cut him off. The one who liked the ocean was you, not me. This is the last time we ever see each other. You've stalked me, harassed me, broken in, assaulted others, and today, your behavior crossed the line. I'm reporting everything to the legal authorities. Our company's legal team will build a firewall within 24 hours. You'll receive a formal warning. After that, every single attempt you make to contact me will carry legal consequences. Chapter 19. Eric didn't believe it. He chased after my car, screaming through the window as police dragged him away. I didn't even get out. He kept messaging me. Each one triggered an auto-reply. This is your nth instance of harassment. The report has been synced with police records. Next step, criminal penalties. He found where I lived, tried to drug me unconscious, but I tasered him and called the police with the last of my strength. The police found narcotics and a soundproofed room in his basement, evidence of planned kidnapping and long-term imprisonment. Luis told me, even if he didn't do worse yet, the darkroom and its contents are solid evidence. Charges: unlawful detention, attempted assault, attempted rape, drug possession, combined sentencing. It won't end well. I sighed. Good thing all that gym time wasn't for nothing. Didn't expect him to actually try something, but I hit back hard enough. Should I be praising you right now? Luis asked. Absolutely. I nodded. Everything else was handled by legal. They told me Eric kept asking to see me. No, I said, without even looking up. Later, the receptionist handed me a letter. From Lily. She wrote, Victoria, thank you, and I'm sorry. If not for you, I might have destroyed my life. I smiled. Nestor asked, what are you smiling at? I replied, I accept all my yesterdays, but I won't let them define tomorrow's sunrise. Nestor yelled, Luis, you psycho, you broke another one. I froze, then burst out laughing, and laughter is contagious. Soon, the whole office was laughing. Outside, sunlight poured in. From this moment on, my bones are like blooming magnolia branches. My heart, a nebula gathering itself again, with every beat. I'm rewriting my countdown, infinity seconds until rebirth.